Guys, welcome back to Scary Story Tuesdays. I'm actually going to be doing it a little different. I know last week I said I was going to have a special guest, but unfortunately due to conflict of scheduling, we're going to have to move that to next week. But this week, instead of me telling you guys my scary stories, I'm going to be telling you guys about an article that I found on Google. It is an article by Noah Berman, 20 creepy true stories that'll make you want to check your closets if you dare. So I'm super excited. I kind of read snippets of them, but I haven't read them completely through. So I'm super excited, and I'm not going to waste any more time, so let's get started. So the first one I'm going to read is called You're Not Supposed to Answer. My old co-workers had a son that was in his mid-30s, and he had a son named Hunter that was 4 or 5. She said that Hunter would have bad dreams and that he would sleep with his dad when he got scared. One night, his dad woke up because he heard Hunter calling him, but he was calling him by his name, not Dad. So he went to his room and he was asleep. He woke him up and said, "Hunter, you were calling me. Is everything okay?" And Hunter said, "Dad, when they call you, you're not supposed to answer," and fell back asleep. He asked him about it in the morning, but he said he didn't remember saying it. I get chills when I think about it. So that was the first story. So if you have kids, or you've ever had or heard, like I've talked about in a lot of my stories, I have heard my mom's voice and my Nana's voice being replicated, and my mom has heard my voice. You know, it's like all of us. So if you've ever heard that, it's probably one of the creepiest things you'll ever hear, especially when they tell you they never called you. So that one kind of freaks me out a little bit because I have witnessed that. Alright, so our next story, this one's a little bit longer, so bear with me. This one is called The House on Acorn Street. So let's get started. When I was 14, my family and I fell on hard times. We got kicked out of our house and ended up in emergency housing. Basically, we went to charity who found us a house that we were able to rent for $100 a month, but only for 3 months. That summer, my mom and stepdad separated temporarily, and my 3 younger siblings would go to my stepdad's for a week or so, then come back to my mom and me. This house was effing creepy. It started off with just the feeling, you know, like something isn't quite right, that you might not be the only person in the room. In the day, that's all it was. The feeling that something was up, your instincts pricking at you. I tried to ignore it, but as soon as dusk arrived, crap would start happening. More than once, I could hear this static-filled music playing, but I couldn't find the source. It just filled the halls. I heard whispering and went to my 2 sisters' room. In the open closet, a pair of eyes looked at me and disappeared. My brother spent one night in the house and didn't come back. In my room, I could never win. On one wall, a mirror, when I flipped over to face the window, I watched tall shadow figures pace in front of it. In my mother's room, the same shadow figures paced in circles around her room. One night, she and I sat up for 2 hours in her bed watching these shadows. She was strongly religious and didn't know what to make of it. During the time we lived there was a lunar eclipse. I had never seen one before and was very excited for it. When I went out to look, every time this terror took over me and I couldn't stay outside. I couldn't explain it. When the moon was fully cloaked, I went outside, looked up, but my head suddenly snapped down and to my left. I could see 3 tall shadows walking in between the tall pine trees in the yard. I panicked. I ran back inside and into my room, flinging myself under the covers, with my eyes shut tightly, but listened to the pacing outside my bedroom window. 3 months of this. We moved out at the end of summer into a new house. My mom and stepdad got back together, and I was with my younger siblings again. We all agreed the house on Acorn Street was effed up, and still get chills when we drive by it just to see. Right, so that was our second story. again, if you've never seen shadow people in your house, probably a great thing. But I have, and it is creepy. It is very, very creepy because there's nothing but a shadow and you can see the silhouette, and that's about it. So reading these stories just kind of make me feel like, you know, you're not alone. And these are good stories to tell by a fire at night in the dark. Like, I love that because, you know, Halloween's coming up. So the next one we're going to read is called Haunted Truck, and we're going to read that next. Alright, so this one is Haunted Truck. I used to have a truck that I swore had the ghost of a dead baby in it. I used to get home late from my job as a dishwasher, and after I parked and was sitting in my driveway with the engine off, I would hear this really faint sound of a baby crying. Late at night, when it was quiet, it used to make my arm hair stand on end. I used to get home and hop out of the car in fear of hearing it. One night, I decided to sit there and just listen, try to pinpoint the sound. Eventually, I discovered that it was indeed not a dead baby. But when I undid my seat buckle, the old spring of the seatbelt retractor would slowly start pulling the belt in, creating a faint noise that sounded like wailing. So at the end of the day, it wasn't a haunted truck, but for a second there, for a while there, he thought it was. So that's quite creepy. It's kind of a good thing that it was just the seatbelt, but that would have probably really creeped me out. This one's short and sweet, and it's called Alone, and it's literally one sentence, and I read it, and it is creepy. It says, was playing Connect one night. It detected a second player. I was alone. So if you don't know what Connect is, it's like it's like a PlayStation game where it has to like see your body kind of in a way. You have like a little remote. So if there's not like someone else with the remote beside you, it shouldn't be detecting anything. But it did. It detected a second player, and they were all by themselves. So that, I probably would have shut the game off, I'm going to be honest with you, and been like, I'm good, going to bed. But that one was a good one. Alright, so this is the last one. It's called Lock the Doors. So we're going to get into that. Alright, so here is our last one, Lock the Doors. This happened to me when I was about 8 and still scares me to this day. One evening, I went to let my dogs in from the back garden at around 9 p.m. It was pitch black, so I quickly opened the door and my dogs came bounding in. As soon as they came in, I locked the door, and at this moment, a person on the other side pulled the handle down trying to get into my house. We had a glass door, so even in the dark, I could see the outline of a man standing there. I ran to my dad, and he ran into the back garden after this man and saw him running down the road. Since then, I have closed and locked doors at the speed of light. Okay, so I have had something like that happen. Well, actually, it was more my sister. We were sitting up against the window, and she saw a face staring back at her. They were going to break into our house. We had just moved in to this house, and that is how we got welcomed. So yeah, I love reading scary stories. If you guys like stuff like this, I would be glad to do it because I love it. And next week I will be telling a story about what's going on, what was our latest experience. And I say we, it's me and my boyfriend. So we will be telling that story. Hopefully next week we're gonna try, we might have to record it sooner and then I'll just post it on Tuesday. But I hope you guys enjoy this. If you liked this kind of video, let me know. If you guys have scary stories yourselves, send them to me. Send them to my Facebook, message me on YouTube if you can. I have an Instagram as well, and Twitter. So if you follow me on any of those, send me your scary stories, and if you give me permission, I will gladly tell your scary stories for you. But thank you guys for chilling with me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys next Tuesday. But until then, have a great rest of your week and stay healthy. Bye, guys.